Okay, so we got some stuff to go over when it comes to Carey Price. And this video kind of sucks. Like, I hate the fact that I'm even making this video because we know what Carey Price is. He is a goaltender. He is a very important goaltender to the NHL and the Montreal Canadiens. So, seeing him take as much time off as he needs, obviously that's what we all want, but it's all with the idea in mind that he will come back, right? So, obviously, we have ourselves some stuff to go over here. It's Kent Hughes, first and foremost. This is an article on cultmontreal.com, going over a whole bunch of Kent Hughes quotes from the other day. We also have ourselves a press conference that Carey Price did himself yesterday that we're going to go ahead and talk about. Was it yesterday or 2 days ago? I don't know. The article's from yesterday, I think, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at that. But before we do so, we're talking about the Montreal Canadiens' new GM, Kent Hughes, and what he says about Carey Price being untouchable. So, let's go over the quotes that Kent Hughes had in a press conference with 98.5 FM, going over what his opinions are and what the update is on the Montreal Canadiens franchise goaltender, former Lindsay winner, former Hart winner, former MVP in the NHL, despite the fact that goaltenders rarely get the MVP award these days. Carey Price is untouchable because he is so important to the organization. He has been the most important player for a decade, and he has a no-trade clause. So there you have it. Kent Hughes goes out there and lays it out there on the line, says that Montreal is probably not going to go out there and trade Carey Price. He is an untouchable player because he has a no-trade, and he is super important to this team. Now, I'm going to go out there and say that Carey Price, in the contract that he does have, $10.5 million until he's like 36 years old, or what the heck is it, 38? I'm going to go on to Elite Prospects right here and do the math right in front of you because I did not have this prepared beforehand. Expires in 2026, he's 34 years old, yeah, so 38 years old, $10.5 million with a full no-move clause. Honestly, if you're going to go out there and say that this guy is even going to be traded, you're going to have to get some team that is willing to bite and willing to take on that contract. It's not going to be a walk in the park to trade this guy away, even if you do choose to. Either way, though, Kent Hughes, his head is in the right place. He says this as well when it comes to buying out Carey Price. He says, "I can't answer that right now, but I don't believe so." He also noted that he would be conducting his first interview with Carey Price this week. This article on cultmontreal.com also says, of course, given what we've been told about the slow progress of Carey Price's knee rehab, even if he wanted to move, the odds of that happening by the March 2021 trade deadline are next to nil. Will he even play by then? How does the situation develop beyond that when Hughes and Hockey Operations VP Jeff Gorton have put their reset plan into action? And when the draft will be hosted in Montreal during the offseason, it's difficult to predict. He also says this about the status of Carey Price. The first question to answer is to know where he is in terms of his health. He has problems with his knee, and there are still answers to be found. So Kent Hughes, for all intents and purposes, just went out there and assured to the media that everything that we thought was going on with Carey Price is still going on. No, he is not going to get traded. No, he is not going to get bought out. No, he is not ready yet either. We're still focusing on his health. We're still focusing on a whole bunch of other things regarding his status as a human being. And then once we start conversing a little bit more, we'll decide whether or not a trade or a buyout is even remotely on the table. And so now we go over onto Carey Price and this article on MontrealGazette.com, pretty much summarizing what Carey Price said to the media yesterday because it was a pretty big deal. Stu Cowan has the report. Questions remain about Carey Price's future with the Habs. He says he wants to play this season and isn't planning to waive his no-trade clause in his contract, but things could obviously change. So we're going to go down and just read everything that Carey Price has to say. It was the first time the goalie had spoken with the media since last July 7th when the Canadiens lost the Stanley Cup Finals to the Lightning. At the end of the day, I just don't think I played well enough at the start of the series, Price said that night in Tampa. Okay, look, firstly, we're going to go back here and just revisit this idea. Carey Price, you're not the problem. Montreal just had no chance at beating the Tampa Bay Lightning. And I know a lot of people love to say, oh, but they had no chance against Vegas, and they had no chance against Toronto, and they had no chance against Winnipeg, and they won every single time. Hey, sometimes the mojo runs out. Sometimes you don't have enough magic beans in the tank to fuel an entire 4-series win in the playoffs. But you got to the finals, right? And it's not like this team was the team that everybody thought was going to make the finals in the first place, so I think it's a lot more of a miracle run than it was dominance. At the end of the day, I just don't think I played well enough at the start of the series. Carey Price says, yeah, it doesn't really matter. You're fine. You're okay. It's incredibly disappointing, said Price, who finished the playoffs with a 2.28 goals against average and a 9.24 save percentage. Those are some very good numbers, by the way. But I'm only disappointed in the result. Our young guys did get a lot of experience, but it's hard to look ahead right now. So we'll just take some time off and lick our wounds and get back at it eventually. That's the first time I've heard anybody say that phrase, by the way. Lick our wounds. I'm probably not going to recommend that. Saliva kind of has some bad stuff that you don't want in your bloodstream. Either way, this is what Carey Price said in the recent press conference. Yeah, it's definitely an objective for me this season to play a game. That's what he's saying. It's always been my goal ever since I got back here. I've had a couple of setbacks with his knee that weren't foreseen. It's been a frustrating process, no doubt. I just want everybody to know that I'm doing well and I'm looking forward to the future. After the knee surgery, the Habs said Price was expected to start the season. They didn't expect him to enter the player assistance program. It was very difficult, he said, about that decision. I was in a position where I definitely needed to reach out, and it was a trying time for sure. But at the end of the day, it was the one decision that I knew had to be made, and ultimately, it was the one that was successful, and I'm very thankful for the help that I got. Yeah, that also was a thing as well, something that I'm not going to go out there and fault Carey Price for in the slightest, and I don't think you should either. Player assistance program, the fact that he even stood up and was like, yeah, I kind of need to get help, good on him. It's just, there are some other things that are holding him back in terms of his knee that are not allowing him to play right now. I'm tremendously grateful for all the support that I've received, and from not only just the fans, but the Canadiens themselves, my teammates, and obviously my family. I've had quite the journey from the start of the season, and it would have been a lot more difficult if I hadn't had such a warm sense of encouragement from everyone. Great words from Carey Price, by the way. Use your support systems if you're going through a tough time. You have family, you have friends. If you don't, you're lying to yourself. So, support systems, very, very important to help you out. He also says that we are very happy here, we're settled in, we know this is our home, there's a reason I signed a contract like I did here with a no-move clause because I wanted to be here, so as of right now, I have no plans to move anywhere, Carey Price says. Those plans could obviously change, Stu Cowan writes, but Price has control over his future, even if the Canadiens want to trade him. They asked, as well, about the possibility of never being able to play again. Yeah, I'm kind of taken aback by the fact that he even had this in the thing. He didn't rule out the possibility of never being able to play again. Are you kidding me? You never know. There's always a possibility. There's a lot going on over the next couple of weeks that will determine the rest of my season. So I'm obviously a little bit anxious myself to find out some answers. I don't have them right now, but we'll find out soon enough. Man. Oh boy, that's what a thought, eh? I'm just going to leave it at that. It might seem pointless for Price to return this season since the Canadiens are the worst team in the NHL and are going nowhere, but that is still his goal. It's been a big part of my identity, for one. Being a goaltender for the Canadiens has been my life over a decade. Obviously, ending the season on such a disappointing note last year, disappointing, you made the finals, buddy. I just want to be able to get back in there and just continue playing. To be able to put that sweater on again is something that is keeping me motivated at this point. So, there you go. The best update in the world? Probably not. It is kind of unfortunate just to see that Carey Price is still going to be held back over here, but as Kent Hughes and Carey Price have both said, health is indeed important. We're waiting to see as to whether or not he's going to be able to fully recover and go out on a limb to actually play again. Now, Montembeault is giving us something to cheer about. He's had himself some very good highlights as of the last few weeks. Of course, the biggest highlight is one that he probably wants to have back, where Trevor Zegras does the Michigan on him, but still, at the very least, it wasn't Carey Price who went out there and allowed that type of goal. So, talk to me in the comments, what do you think about Carey Price and the plan over here? He's got to rehab his knee, he's got to fix everything up before he's able to play again. He wants to play again, even though the Canadiens suck this year, although he has not ruled out the possibility of him never playing again, which is so strange and twisted, the fact that they even asked him that. But either way, talk to me in the comments on your thoughts as to whether or not Carey Price will actually suit up for the Canadiens once again, if he eventually does waive his no move and he wants to go somewhere else, if he gets bought out to free up the money. Let me know your thoughts in the comments as to what the future holds for Carey Price and the Habs. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.